start off by saying Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all you that are listening in. I am Bob Duato with Bill Chester and Jay-Z once again. I hope you guys had a great Christmas, by the way. I mean, I know I did here at home with my kids and everything like that. Did you guys get anything good for Christmas?
I got some new whiskey glasses and a bottle of whiskey. That'll come in handy, especially for this deal. What about you, JC? Got another chin dildo?
Close. I'm still haven't worn out the last one yet, but I'm turning an old man. I got one of those badass like digital weather stations that measure like barometric pressure and wind speed and all that shit outside. And got a whole bunch of stuff for a big green egg because I'm starting to do some smoking of meats on the weekends and stuff like that. I'm not going to be a pit master, but it's just fun to feed everyone and have them tell you worship you like a god when you feed them delicious food. So that's my Christmas,
No, that's awesome. No, it's definitely probably about as good as what Joey Gase got for Christmas. I'm not going to say what it was, but I got a text message, and Joey, we did see it. That's very, 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 very funny.
Yeah, those are useless. You don't need them.
Also a chin dildo?
Spray and pray.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we had a great season this year. 2020 was full of just pure growth in the DNQ series. I mean, we saw Nick Stroop take home the championship in the Cup Series and a couple other great races. And the quick synopsis of it was Nick Stroop was the guy to beat in the Cup Series until Eric Riggins showed up. But let's go ahead and just cover the Cup Series right now. I mean, the racing has been so good. The competition's getting so much better. Do we see somebody new come into this series next year and challenge these guys for a championship?
Only if they're a part of that team, I think. I mean, the other guys got it was tough to keep up with that whole camp, honestly. Like, they just brought it to the next level this year. A couple of seasoned veterans in big cars coming and running the high side every weekend at Millbridge. I mean, they were really tough to beat. If one didn't win, the other did. So the rest of the field, and we saw it by those guys trading wins constantly, they've definitely got to step it up. So if anybody's going to beat those two, I think you're going to have to be on that team.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to dispute that right now. I think it's a sign of the evolution of the sport, right? The growth you mentioned before there, Bob. I'm looking at the point standings here, and 50 different people took a shot at trying to win a Cup race this year. You know what I mean? That's a lot for a series that started out with just a bunch of buddies wanting to race hungover and have a good time to this ultra competitive series where you have teams forming that are guarding their speed secrets. It's like they're just sitting around after the race drinking beers, saying, "Oh, we'll try this stagger next week. I think you'll get faster." Like it's competitive out there, and like we're talking about here, if you're not aligned with one of those big teams, if you don't have some sort of business plan set up, an agreement with them, a partnership, your best shot is third place.
Yeah, we saw that too in the Filthy Mechanic Clothing Company Pro Cup Series where Zach Stroop, who has that affiliation, won the championship. But I think next year in this series, I don't think he's really has a chance because he didn't win races consistently. I mean, he ran consistent top three, but he was not a dominating force. And this is where I still say it comes out of that camp where Riggins will end up probably winning this championship next year.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Finney and Mike Melton gave him a run for their money, but ultimately that camp was able to beat him out. Yeah, Mike Melton was strong all year in multiple classes, but he was, I don't know how to explain it. He was good enough to run top five, but was never really a contender.
It's kind of like the second driver in the Robert Yates cars back like the late 90s or early 2000s, right? Like you had some good equipment, like you were there, but you weren't dominating. You weren't winning. You know what I mean? You weren't keeping up with Dale Jarrett or whoever it was at the time. And you got to remember, Riggins missed 2 or 3 races. He broke his leg. Remember?
Yeah, that's the only reason. 2 races.
Yeah, that's the only reason he didn't win the championship. He strung together 4 wins in 5 races there in the middle of the season. He was nearly unbeatable. So again, everyone else is going to have to step up their game or expect Scotty to do some more tables, ladders, and chairs matches and maybe break another leg. Who knows?
Yeah, we just got done talking about Mike Melton in the Pro Cup Series, but it was the Dash Series where he won the championship this year. And he was dominant at the beginning of the year and kind of the mid part of the season, but I mean, recently they've tapered off a little bit with their program, and they have the same thing going on. I think if you're going to win the championship in Dash, you have to have an affiliation with Mike and his Magic Mafia, as he calls it.
Yeah, for sure. There's something about that group that definitely got the no staggered deal working a lot better than the other guys. Although we didn't see that at all in the final race of the year because he got smoked. So maybe there is something more out there that nobody's really hit on. What was that guy's name that won the last race?
Brandon Connard
Brandon
came out
Connard.
of the Brokeback Mountain Motorsports team.
Yeah.
Correct me
Yeah,
up.
Brandon Connard. I don't. Maybe it was just that night where he got everything hooked up, but he laid it down on Melton and those guys. So maybe he hit on something that's a little bit different. I mean, we know the tires are a lot different, and the setup for those go-karts has to be a lot different, just because there's no stagger at all to help them turn. So it does give everybody else hope, but right now, that Magic Mike Melton camp definitely has their stuff together, and it'll be interesting to see if they can carry it on to next year.
They should. They seem to really sell out and really focus on being good in that Dash series, right? A lot of guys are only bringing one go kart to the track, right? We're not bringing multiple cars to run multiple classes. Most people aren't, anyways. So if you're going to sell out for the Dash series or sell out for the tread class, we even more stagger than normal than you're used to. You kind of got to focus on that. You really can't be good in both classes unless you want to bring 4 dudes to the track with you and wholesale your shit as far as 4 or 5% cross, each way when you're changing tires and you're changing spindle washers up front and changing the camber. It's too much, man. So Melton, like you said there, Bob and Bill, he's zeroed in on the Dash. He's good, and I don't think there's any shame in continuing to focus on that and being the man in that class.
Yeah, finish line. What's that?
Joey Gase. I mean, I'm just looking at the standings now. He won 4 times, and he was somebody who didn't make it to every race because he had prior obligations. But maybe that's somebody, if he can make all the races next year, that can bring it to Mike Melton.
Yeah, that's Finish Line Wash Pros comes on board to sponsor that series this year, and Elite Pool Cleaning will sponsor the Cup Series as well. Those are 2 changes that were not the same from last year. All right, quick look at the Carroll Tractor Trailer Repair Busch Series. Daniel Armstrong was pretty much untouchable all season long. Robert Showalter had a shot because of the prep penalty, but he really didn't have a shot at him all year this year. He was pretty dominant.
He was, and it was really fun, especially towards the end of the year. Those 2 got chippy with each other. They really started to not like each other, and they always found each other racing side by side. No matter what, either they were both dog shit or they were both up front, and they were not scared to just drive it on in there and not even try to make the corner and door slam them. I mean, it got pretty bad, especially at the end of the year there, where, I mean, bodies were getting ripped off because of it. But it was fun to watch those 2.
Yeah, this is the wow. I need more Jack Daniels, I think. My brain shut down, but the Busch series has been around a long time. That class is hyper competitive. That's the traditional pinks and blues you find all over the Southeast, right? I'm not an idiot. I'm not getting them confused.
Yes, no, you got it.
Good. And Armstrong wins a shit ton of money doing that stuff, outside of DNQ. So, for people like Showalter, Bates, Campalogna, my boy Standish didn't show up much this year, which is kind of sad. I missed him. But it was a good race, but like you said, Bill, it got real chippy there at the end, and people don't mess around. But that's like what you see down at GKK and the Tri-State Series, where it's the last lap. There's $5,000 on the line. They're dumping you, man. Get out of the way,
Yeah, this series next year, the ARCA guys are going to have, I think it's like 2 to 3 standalone events. But next year, the ARCA Championship will be run inside this series as well. So expect just one really big field of prep tires next year. And Ronnie Carroll won that ARCA Championship last year. The series is unsponsored this year, but I mean, I don't know what to think about this. I look at Dustin Dunn and Dylan Teasley, how they ran at the end of the year, and I say that they're the number one contenders for this deal. But there's been a lot of guys like Bryson Murray and Bumgardner that have come in and kind of proved us wrong too. But I mean, there's a lot of names that could win this ARCA championship inside the Busch Series this year.
It's going to be awesome to see all those cars on track, first of all, because there was over 70 people that entered the ARCA series and over 70 that entered the Busch series last year. So you get some people showing up. There's going to be a ton of cars going home. I don't know how many go-karts we can fit on that track, but it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I mean, Ronnie Carroll winning the ARCA series. I mean, that's Frank Kimmel, basically. And Randall Beck, who runs a bunch around the Southeast as well, and does fairly well for himself. I mean, it's really not a surprise to see those two guys up front. But yeah, Dylan Teasley and that Young's Motorsports group, wow. They were the story of the year, both on and off the track. Somebody that you love to see good because you know the party is going to be even better afterwards.
That team showed up with brand new shit in the beginning of the year. They spared no expense, and they were on full kill all year. It took a little while, a couple of weeks to build up that notebook, but they were dominating at the end of it. Again, it's that affiliation, that alliance we talked about. Those big teams have got the deep notebooks and the deeper pockets. Those are the ones you want to link up with, and we're seeing it pay dividends here towards the end of this past year.
One thing I was laughing about the other day, and I did notice it, was Daniel Armstrong. If you look at the picture on the website, he's got his trophy, and it's so funny because it's one of those Easter egg moments that you find. He's holding his trophy, he's giving the one finger up, and he's giving the middle finger up with his right hand on the trophy.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good because Daniel, if you know Daniel Armstrong, he's not one of those guys that really wants to do that part of it. He enjoys. He's just a racer. He just wants to race. He doesn't really care about the media part of it, but it almost makes him a bad boy when you interview him and he doesn't like it. So it's pretty funny. All right, a new series for next year is the Usac Series, the United States Association of Champ Karts, which I got the word "sac" in there and made it look legitimate. Usac will start next year. Bill, we got to look at this at the Hoosier Nationals, and it looks pretty promising, especially when we get a couple more out there. I know people were looking for chassis, and a couple builders sold out already, and there's none left on Facebook Marketplace. So I think we're going to have a decent field.
I would say so because we had 8 of them or so at the last race. And I mean, that was just whoever's got one, come out here, try it. Nobody ever ran a champ kart on treads. Nobody really runs champ karts at Millbridge that much anyway. So it was a bit of a ragtag crew that came out there, and they put on a heck of a show. Like, it was good to see some big horsepower out there. We had guys running all the way down in the mud, which Ryan Richmond, that was a great party after the race also. He ran right along the bottom. And then we had other guys like David Mayo pounding the wall down. So top was working, bottom was working. They were pretty racy. Lap traffic was an issue, especially for Joey Gase. It was exciting, and I'm pumped to see some of these guys get out here with these cage karts and rip around here on some treads.
I think it's going to grow. You guys already mentioned that all the used shit's gone. Some builders are already so backward, you're not going to be able to get your stuff for the beginning of the season. I think by the midway point, right, by the All-Star race, I think we'll be sending people home. I think we'll be running B mains and sending people home in this USAC class. So I'm excited. Ryan Richmond got to put his name up there as the first winner. You know what I mean? He did pretty good. Was lapping half the field. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I had flashbacks of Bentley Kuhn when I saw Ryan Richmond go to victory lane.
Well, joining us right now is Ryan Richmond. Ryan, you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, so we're talking about this USAC series for next year, and the Hoosier National race was really good. I mean, you had John Kinder get wrecked early. Joey Gase maybe would have put something or got to your bumper. Don't know if he could have passed you, but what was it like running that race, and how was it from the driver's seat?
It was interesting. Like I had said, I'd never sat in a champ buggy till like Thursday of that week, so it was definitely different not being able to look over your shoulder, see where everybody is. They're kind of hard to drive in that aspect. They're stiff. Like, you feel every bump on the racetrack. Like, it was It was definitely different.
So you're from. Go ahead, Bill. You got any questions for our winner from last race for the Usac Series?
No, I mean, it was really exciting to watch, especially it looked like towards the end of the Hoosier Nats there. I mean, you were like one of the only guys on the bottom. And I think you're probably the reason that the bottom got run in at all that race for all the classes. So I think you definitely had something to do with that. But it was interesting to see all the different lines. In practice, nobody really knew where to run. And then you go and stick it down there on the bottom in all the mud and click off half a second faster than the field. And after that, it was like shit scattered everywhere. Wrenches were getting thrown. And by the heat races, half the guys were on the bottom and there were still some guys running the top. And finally by the feature, everybody decided like, all right, the precedent's been set. You're going to have to get on the bottom. You know what? After watching most of the treaded classes run around the top all year, why did you even start to go down that road? And you know, what was it like running down there in all that heavy mud?
Well, me and my buddy Mike there, we sat back and looked at, Miltona, the very first 2-3 races or so of the treaded tires for the Cup class. It was on the bottom. When it gets cold, the track gets wet, you run on the bottom. So we just made the commitment. We're going to set it up. We're going to put some gear to it. We're going to run the bottom with the buggy. And we come off the racetrack and, I was about 700 RPM off on my gear, and I look at Magic and he's like, "Hey, you're half second faster." I was like, "Well, I need some more gear." So like, all right. So we kept slinging gear to it. We tighten it up and add 2 teeth of gear all day. And I feel bad for the guys that want to run the top, but I mean, we both knew that as it got cold and into the night that the bottom was going to be there, and the treaded tires show that, when it gets hot and the track gets dry, the top is the way to go. But when it's wet like that and it's cold and damp, the moisture is down there and the tires can take it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you guys had a really good first run and a learning experience. We were earlier in the podcast, you were talking about big teams protecting their speed secrets. So you don't need to give away the whole thing, give us a shot up the whole skirt. But what's the big difference that you're seeing as you were evolving the setup on this buggy versus the flat carts you run? What are some of the big changes that you guys are making for those flat cart fans out there that might be getting interested in the buggies here?
Oh, I can't tell you everything. Like, it worked for one race anyways. And, but we didn't know. Like I had said in my interview, I took some information from 3 or 4 different people, from David Mayo and John Kinder and Mike Rout, and, guys that had drove buggies before. And we didn't know where to start. So we just took some information and kind of threw a baseline in it, and we get to the racetrack and, we had the results that we wanted. Didn't know how we were going to get there when we showed up, but it just happened to work out in our favor that day. And, we still did learn some things throughout the race that we can work on to make it better. It's still the same game with the tires. You got to have your stagger right, and you have to nail the air pressure when everybody's on the same tire. And that's what it boiled down to, is I felt that, the stagger was right and the air pressure was perfect for what I had to do. The chassis could have been a little bit better. We still could have tweaked on some things, but it still all comes down to tires.
Well, it looked like you did exactly the opposite of David Mayo and John Kinder, and that was definitely the right thing. So, hell of a drive.
Yeah, they struggled for sure. I'm very interested to see when this series goes to the top side of the racetrack, when it does dry out and it gets to be the summer, where it's going to stand, because now guys have a cage around them and belts where they're a little bit more secure. And we see guys riding a fence now in the Cup Series, which is pretty ballsy to begin with. But I think it's a sense of security now to where these guys can go run the top and they feel safe. And if they get hit, they're okay. And, I feel way better about it driving this. I wouldn't be surprised if this series didn't blow up.
Oh no, absolutely. I feel like this series is going to take off. If you if you're trying to buy one right now, you're in a bit of a bind. There's not a lot used out there for sale unless you're going to go call Harold and buy something brand new. But there definitely will be probably 10 to 15 to start, I'm guessing. But like you guys said, by middle of the season, you'll be having B mains and stuff like that. But even when it gets hot, though, I think the buggies will be more inclined to run the bottom as well. I think you'll have more multi-groove racing than when the Cup Series runs when it gets hot, where it's single lane on the top and nobody could make the bottom work. I think you'll be able to figure it out and run, both actual grooves and be competitive. And that's what we're going to commit to, because cage or not, or seatbelts or not, they still tip over and nobody wants to do that. And I'm going to do my best to figure out the bottom and run all year on that. And because that's where I like to run. So if you watched any of the Cup races last year, as the summer months went on, the higher went up the racetrack, my performance downgraded. And that's just not where I want to be on the racetrack.
Who's going to be the first one upside down next year?
Oh, Donald Caldwell, hands down.
Dirty-haired Donnie.
Dirty-haired Don.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
So you're from Canastota, New York, which is up by Jay-Z, who still lives in upstate New York. Talk to us a little bit about your racing background and growing up.
Me and my dad, we built street stocks. We raced up at Usac Speedway. That was all we did. We didn't, snowmobile, didn't hunt, nothing. We just worked on street stocks and raced the local tracks around. And then I turned 18. I spent a couple of years in Ohio at a vocational school, and then moved down here working for Big Bill Venerini for $300 a week, sweeping floors and cleaning toolboxes. And that turned into bounced around the ARCA garage for a couple of years. And then, like any bright 23-year-old, someone said, "Hey, you want to go Cup racing?" "Yeah, sure, let's do that." So I bounced around in the back Cup garage for a few years and ended up in the Xfinity Series, and now I'm car chiefing up at Colleague Racing, and it worked out really good for me, actually. So it was a tough road, but you got to cut your teeth, when you start in this business. So.
Well, anything's better than Ohio, so sounds like a good move to me.
Yeah, there's a ton of respect when you start off like that and then you come through racing. There's no doubt about it. Jay-Z, how far are you from Canastota, New York?
Oh, maybe 2-3 hours. Not that far. I know Utica Speedway, and like Lebanon Valley's out a little bit east of there, and Canandaigua's south of me. It's got a lot of big block modifieds, and the World of Outlaws will come there once in a while. So I'm familiar. It's not too far away.
Ryan, so you've run DNQ for a long time. I don't know. I think it's probably around 3 or 4 years now, but what has it been like this whole time racing with the series and being a part of it?
Man, it's been awesome. It's been a great ride, I come in with like the first real Busch class we had when we were running the EL tires back then. We were getting 20, 25 go-karts a night, and I don't know why, but Eddie, you decided to start like 27 go-karts at a time. And oh my God. The old Busch days where you put a time limit on us because we couldn't get 30 laps in, and so I think we run at the fair one time. We only run 10 laps. But it was really fun back then doing the EL tires and the Predator, because again, you had to drive it. You couldn't get them things soft enough because they were plastic. So, and then when they got rid of the EL tire and went to the Busch Series, or to the Pinks and Blues, I decided to try and run Cup with the clone, and that was a disaster to start out. Racing. I think Jason Denny won 9 races that year in the Cup Series, and everyone else was trying not to get lapped. And then we come up with helped you, and I know Showalter and Welch and me and Winslow, we all tested the treaded tires out there, and it has been a complete game changer. It's been absolutely wild. It's been great for the series. The competition level has really peaked, because you saw for quite a few years there that one guy would win 6, 7, 8 races. Tim Nye won a bunch of races, and Jason Denny dominated one year, and Kennard the next, and Tyson, and then you get to the Cup Series of the treaded tires, and I think until Stroop got hot, I think we had 5 different winners in the first 5 races, and that really says adamant to the top level competition when you can have that many different winners. It's just that speaks for itself alone, the competition, and it's fun, and as long as you keep to do it fun like that, you're going to have more people come out, and I think it's at a really good point right now.
Thanks for jacking us off there, Ryan. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. I do anything I can.
So there's a lot of guys in like the Xfinity, the NASCAR Cup Garage, ARCA that all run DNQ. Is there a rivalry that goes on between all you guys? You guys talk crap to each other up and down pit road at the garage when you're on the job? Is DNQ like a central topic with all you guys that participate?
It does actually. There's quite a bit, not I'd say trash talk, but discussion. Rules and what are you gonna do and how you can get better, and just the basic racer camaraderie. But we can just do it every weekend. 3 weeks between races. It really gives you time to sit back and pick out what you're gonna do for the next race, what you're gonna try. I'm gonna do this. I heard this guy's doing that. It gives you more time to overthink it. And
oh yeah.
And then, you just, sits on the surface plate done for a week, and you're going to go change 6 springs before you even get to the racetrack. So we've all been there.
Yeah.
Do you have like a whole hauler full of spare parts? You just try to like limit yourself so you don't fuck yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, everything I own comes with a racetrack. So I bring 2 Predators and now a Champ buggy. So I don't have any spare parts. There's no worries about that.
I know Bill used to go racing with me at the WK Nationals, like road course and stuff like that, about 10 years ago or something like that. And we'd show up with this special spec axle, this new seat this week, and these types of prototype spindles. And by like 5 practice sessions in, we had the whole go-kart apart in the stand, putting it all the way back to the way it was. We're just sitting there texting each other back and forth, trick fucking ourselves. So we're well aware.
Yeah, I went with Brad or Bill to Kershaw once, and he worked the dog shit out of me. I thought I was at Cup Happy Hour than I was at a go-kart track to Kershaw. I was just there to hang out. Next thing I know, we're thrashing left and right. Had a good day though.
But I didn't make you change your deck lid for 15,000. So
very true. So Ryan, I know your goals are wins and a championship. What is the biggest thing you're looking forward to for 2021?
Man, we're gonna hopefully win some more races. I think I had the longest drought between DNQ wins in history. It was like 4 years. My wife reminds me every week. So we're gonna go out and have fun, try and win some races. I'd like to run the Usac full time and probably a part-time Cup schedule, hit the big shows. But other than that, we're just gonna run Usac, go for wins, and hopefully have some fun.
You're off to a good start.
All right, Ryan, anything else you want to talk about? If not, we're going to carry on here with the show.
No, man, just thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to Miltona and getting out there and getting racing again.
Good luck, Ryan.
Enjoy the freshest natty lights New York has to offer.
We're gonna drink some Busch Lights later.
Yeah,
the Back Blue they drink up there too.
Yeah, Canada. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Ice.
All right, thank you.
You always have to, when you look at DNQ, Ryan Richmond's a mainstay in DNQ series, and just a great guy too. If you ever get to know him, just a really good dude to know, and a great competitor as well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that sticks with DNQ as long as he has either something really wrong with them, or they just like having a good time.
All right, so we that's good to talk to Ryan. I like talking to him. So we talked about most of the season so far, but coming up's Miltona, and that's probably one of our biggest races for the Cup Series that we have all year long. And last year, Ronnie Shirk shocked the world and won this thing. David Crops on the outside pole for this race. I mean, I look back at it, really good race. Mike Rott should have won it, stepped on his pecker with the lap cars. But, man, I'm excited that this is coming around again. The second one with treaded tires. I mean, do we see a Stroop and Riggins race, or do we see somebody new in it?
For whatever reason, Miltona brings people out of the woodwork that have been fooling with their stuff all winter long and have got it dialed in, and Miltona will shock every single year. I mean, I remember all the way back to the Bentley Coon days. I like the big unrestricted motors, the big hogged out suckers. It didn't matter. Miltona was always a great race, and I think it's because everybody just sits there and marinates all winter long. Just the tons of Busch Light going through the minds of DNQ racers. And some people hit on it, and a lot of people forget how to race. And for whatever reason, it always brings surprise winners. So I look forward to Miltona every single year.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a barn burner. I think the treaded class has solidified itself as the most fun class to run in the Southeast right now. I kind of get the vibe that people still go and run some of the traditional series and run their pinks and blues because it's what they know, but it's not as fun to drive those carts the way it is to drive these carts at Millbridge and run the high lane and the multi-groove racing. I'm excited. You're talking about it's like a dice roll. I want to see a guy like Curtis Beeson just win one. That squirrel that gets a nut once in a while, unload fast and lead a bunch of laps up front. So some guy like that we don't normally talk about a whole lot. It could be anybody. I think it's going to be a great race.
Yeah, I think Ryan Ayers is somebody that we're not really thinking about. He started to run the Nationals. He's pretty good. I really feel like if there's going to be somebody who gives Riggins, Stroop, and a couple of those guys a run for their money, it's going to be him. He's got good equipment. He's with Showalter and Adam Welsh, and I think he's going to be the one to watch this year, if I had to guess.
Could very well be. But don't forget about Brandon Connard. He ran the B main at the Hoosier Nats, came back and swept 3 classes. So maybe somebody like him decides to sack up and get a big cart and run Miltona. Somebody like that is very capable of coming out and taking that trophy. If Jason Eford can do it, anybody can.
Amen. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we get some more traditional names that show up. I hope like a James Stanley Jr. comes back. I hope we still get the fan favorites like Big Red there, Mr. Haley. I hope he continues to race. But I'm just hoping some of the traditional guys have been running the last couple of years, like a Standish, come back, fill out this grid even more, make it even more competitive, and give us a good race to call.
Yeah, that's a Miltona 50, and that'll be on January 24th, Sunday, January 24th at Millbridge Speedway. And like we said, that's always just one of those races that for some reason somebody different ends up taking it. All right, so 2021, I mean, you guys, we pick winners before the season starts to begin with. So go through each series. I mean, I'll give you guys a few minutes and just pick your champions for the year. Who do you think is going to win the championship? I've already done this beforehand, and I'll tell you what mine were once I pull it up here. But I like to do this because it's always good to listen back and see who was close and who wasn't close. So I had Dustin Dunn winning the ARCA championship with Dylan Teasley in second, Randall Beck third. Busch Series, I was thinking Armstrong again. USAC, I thought John Kinder, if he runs all of it, will win the championship there. Dash Series, reluctantly picked Melton, but I don't think he's going to win it. Pro Cup, Eric Riggins. Cup Series, Eric Riggins. So those were my picks for the series, but I'm interested to see what you guys think and who you think may win this championship this year.
Cup Series? Yeah. I mean, Eric Riggins is the obvious choice. I think the top 3 are going to be Riggins, Stroop, and Bobby Showtime if he runs all the races and doesn't get his ass thrown out. He was very, very fast, but who knows? I mean, there might be some newcomers to that. I'd love to see a name like Dan Ridenhour come back and throw some treads on.
Oh my God.
He's the type of guy that would be an absolute, just a bull in a china shop out there with some treads. And he's the type of guy that would cherry pick Miltona and win something and then get all confident and come back for the next 5 races. So it would be great to see somebody new or even old like that. I mean, Tim Nye knows his way around here. He's familiar with treads. I mean, he runs micros and stuff around Millbridge. So it'd be great to see some of those guys come back and challenge that camp. So let's see. Let's switch over to the Busch Series. Damn, Bob, your like fucking Excel sheets are micro size on your website.
Yeah, you got to hit presentation mode.
Yeah. So, Daniel Armstrong, if he comes back and races, he's very strong, is pissed off about something every single race, just that kind of guy. Bobby Showtime, man, those two, it's going to be a death match between those two, I think. Those guys were really, really strong. Caleb Clenard was probably the disappointment of the year last year. So it would be good to see him come back. I think just kind of threw him for a loop this year, especially running up top as much as we have. Let's see who else. I mean, I'd love to see Brandon Connard run that class. He could be really, really strong. He definitely showed everybody that he knows how to get around Millbridge. Let's see. So ARCA Series. Hold on, let me fucking zoom in from outer space.
Space Force.
Let's see. Yeah. Ronnie Carroll, Randall Beck. Yeah, so this would be in with the Busch Series also. I think you got to give it to Ratchet Jaws. I mean, he was just too strong at the end of the year last year, and he was just grew so much as a driver, and that camp grew so much as a team. I think he's going to be the one to beat in the ARCA Series. Let's see, who else do I have to choose from there? Yeah, a bunch of no-name fucks. Pro Cup. Yeah, fucking Stroop's in this one. That's going to be tough. Yeah, I think Zach Stroop is going to be your winner again, unless you get, Bobby Showtime coming back and running this some more. He can definitely give it to him. You know, bunch of very good runs last year, couple of wins, DQ. So I think he learned his lesson. Didn't get thrown out again after that. So that's good. Jerry Mullis ran that thing. So I'd say that's probably my top 3. Zach Stroop, they definitely got it together. Dash Series, the Finish Line Wash Pros Dash Series. Fucking satellite view down to Google Earth. All right. Yeah, Mike Melton and Joey Gase. If Joey Gase can make every race, I think he can win the championship. Mike Melton will definitely give him a run for his money. And Mike Condorino, if he could just be more consistent, Mike Condorino could have a shot at that. But he's just so hot and cold. Some races he's fighting to get in the top 5, and other times he's running away. So he's one of those guys that's kind of right there. No wins, but I think once he cracks that winner's circle, he's going to win some more. His confidence is definitely better. His equipment's better. His speed's better. So maybe he can do it. He's definitely going to be in the top 3 again, I think. The Usac Series, Ryan Richmond. He was really good, but Joey Gase, I think, is going to be your winner for the Usac Series. He was really, really strong. Took him all night to kind of get his shit dialed in. But by the time the feature rolled around, he was good, and took him half the race to run down Ryan Richmond because he started on the pole, but he was at his back bumper when they caught lap traffic. So I think Joey Gase is going to be your winner, and Ryan Richmond will obviously be strong there, as long as he doesn't do whatever Kinder and Mayo do. If it gets up top, Mayo was right on the board. So maybe through those summer months, David Mayo could be the one to beat. And it only takes, 3 or 4 wins to essentially lock yourself in. That'll be, I think those are my picks. What you got, Jay-Z?
Oh man,
Hey, Sally.
he might. He's a dark horse. I am just worried about which manufacturers lobbying the France family the most right now, and who's gonna kick in a couple extra $100,000 to make sure that they get a new nose put on the race car. That's a couple counts better than everybody else's. But who knows? Who knows? Just a theory. But I think for Cup it's Riggins. I think that's the class he's going to focus on the most. If he runs all the races, he's shown he's nearly unbeatable. I think Stroop managed to beat him 3 times, but I just don't see it
It's
happening.
like fucking Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch trading wins. I mean, come on.
It's crazy, man. Riggins is just unstoppable, especially when that track gets slick. Everyone else seems to be bouncing that right rear off the boards a little bit more than he does, and he just holds it together. I agree. Like there's a guy like Conard, right? Who I'm a little horny on Brandon Conard right now. I'm not gonna lie. He impressed the shit out of me at the Hoosier Nationals, just dominating every class he showed up in. But those cold, wet races, there's only 2-3 of them during the year. You usually from March all the way through the end of September, it gets pretty dried out. It gets a nice prep groove in there. Well, not with the treads, but you know what I mean. Track gets running real nice. They'll be up against the board. So I still think it's going to be Riggins and Cup. I would like to see a surprise. You know what I mean? But I just don't think maybe a Jimmy Allen Jr. who's been top 5 for most of the races, right? He's there. We see his car. We call his name. Maybe he can break through. But I just don't think anyone's got enough for Riggins. I think he's the best for Cup right now. Pro Cup, I'm going with Conard. I think he can win that class. I think he's good enough to do it. I know we talk about Stroop and Melton, and Riggins runs it as well. But I just think Conard's got to get one of them. Maybe a dark horse is Ryan Ayers that Bob mentioned earlier. He's been pretty quick. He scored some good points in the races he did run in that class. But I still think it'll be Conard if he shows up. He's been top 3 every week, and then in the Hooters or the Nationals, the Hoosier Nationals, he just kicked ass. So I think he's my pick for Pro Cup. Going to Busch Series, I think it's gonna be Showalter, because I don't see anyone else in that list showing up that's really gonna. Maybe a Bryson Murray. He did get a win last year, but I don't know if he's going to commit to the series. Even if he does, I think Armstrong and Showalter are better drivers right now, better equipment, better programs. But I think Showalter keeps us cool. I don't think he's going to rip the right side off the go-kart, and I think he's going to be the one that's going to have more consistent finishes, fewer blow-ups and stuff like that. I know Armstrong's won a bunch of money. I know he's good, but I'm going with Bobby Showtime there. I think he can get it done. ARCA Series. I'm going with Teasley, or who was the other guy in that camp from Tyler Young Motorsports? Done. Yes, they have got the best equipment in that class by far. The last 2 or 3 weeks, they showed up and they just unloaded better, right? They handle on the straightaways better. They handle on the turns better. They've just got better stuff than everybody. And again, it's kind of like your entry level class. We don't expect any Andretti's to show up or anything like that. So if you got that good equipment, you got that power on the go-kart. If there is any in those Predators, they've got it best. So I think it's either Teasley or Dunn that gets the win there. What do we got left? Goodies Dash Series. Man, I want like a hot pick. I want a hot take, but I don't think Joey Gase is going to make all the races. And we talked about before, Melton and his whole camp, that Magic Mafia, they focus on this class. They focus on the setup with the no stagger. I think they've got it done. I'd like to think an Adam Welch will be able to show up and win a couple races that next season. I mean, he ran the first half, finished really well, got a win in the first 4 races last season, and kind of just disappeared and let some other people drive his stuff. Did he get hurt? Is that what happened?
No, he just let Ryan Ayers drive it in Dash.
That's right. I think if he wants to run it, I think he could possibly win. But Melton's the one that makes a commitment. He puts the time in the shop during the week. I think he's got it. And then the Usac's one I'm missing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to go with Kinder. He was quiet this season. I know he's been running a lot of. I think he's been running some big cars, some IMCA style modifieds and whatnot. But I think he can get it done in USAC. I think he's quick. I know Ryan Richmond's got a good setup there to start off with, but again, that cold, damp weather is just a one-off. I think Kinder can come back in the midseason and string a bunch of wins together.
He's really not that bad. He got turned around early in the Hoosier Nats, and I think that's why he finished back as far as he did.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He ended up in the infield, and they never threw the yellow for him, right? They just stayed green the whole time, and he got
fuck it. Yeah.
He ran like Hooters Pro Cup and I think Truck Series for a while too. So he's got a lot. Yeah, he's got a ton of driving experience. So definitely somebody that can get it done. There's no doubt in my mind. Now we ended the race. We did the Hoosier Nationals, which was an optional race, but we ended the season, and people were giving me a hard time about running the off season this long, which I think everybody needs a timeout as far as I'm concerned. Like, it gives you a lot of time to work on your stuff, and I think that's better to do it that way. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't mind having an off season. There's a lot of shit that I had to get done, and none of it was fucking with DNQ. So, I think everybody falls into that category at some point.
During the week, guys, we were talking about family life and having to do secret shots. The family leaves the room, you rip the bottle out of the cupboard real quick, rip like 1-2 shots real quick, and then kind of pretend like nothing's happening, even though your eyes are watering with the tequila still, and they walk back in. And I think the off season, whether you want to or not, you got to put that family time in, focus on them, get the missus off your back a little bit. Make sure she has a magical Christmas and a beautiful New Year's and all that stuff, so that when January rolls around, you can be balls deep in racing again. Because otherwise, I don't think getting a DNQ is worth getting a divorce. Who am I to judge, right? I love it as much as everyone else, but go-kart's a lot less than a divorce. So let's give her couple months in the off season and come back strong. So I'm okay with a break.
Yeah, if you want some really good stuff, like Robert Showalter's Facebook's really good. I just became friends with him on there, and he posted that thing with the chick lying. Yeah, women lie. Yeah, he's pretty funny. All right, so that's basically the year review for DNQ, and I look forward to another season in DNQ, and a lot that we're gonna have time to talk about, I'm sure, coming from all these races in this series. But moving on to some real racing news, I'm gonna cover this. I don't even know if it's really happening. I saw Bob Poggers posted this. Floyd Mayweather is going to work with Spire, go figure, out of all people to work with, to get involved in NASCAR. And I don't know if that's got something to do with the Michael Jordan deal or what, but man, there is some new money flowing into NASCAR, and it's a good thing. I mean, hopefully when we switch cars, you get like a Honda or something like that. But man, someone like Floyd Mayweather puts money behind something, it's either gonna go one or two ways. He's gonna be like Red Bull and spend a ton of money and get nothing out of it, or he can spend money and be successful. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure which way that's gonna go. I think when you put your money with people that are reliable and trustworthy and stuff like that, you're okay. And then sometimes when you don't do that, you're going to have a situation that you never wish you got involved in. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely think of better alliance teams than maybe Spire, but yeah, I think he's in it for the pictures and the bitches. I'm not real sure if he's in it for racing, because he says he's the money team, but I think he's going to be out of money before very long.
I don't know, man. There's got to be a good business model at Spire where I know they don't win, right? Traditionally, and they're getting lapped 3 times in the first 60 laps at any mile and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless their name's Justin Haley.
Yeah, right. I mean that's why I was almost backtracked to what I said, because I know he pulled off that dub, which is good for him, man. Big payday, right? All the hookers you could possibly want, but there's teams that make money because they have a good pedigree and people want to be associated with it. And then there's teams that are just a good business model and they run in the back because they know there's only 40 seats, 40 spots in Cup, and there's a bunch of kids and daddies who want to spend money to be in it. And I think Floyd Mayweather is not a dummy. He might be a race fan. I don't know if he is. I don't think he is from what I've seen so far. I think he just knows a good business model when he sees it and he says, shoot, someone's going to pay me $250K to finish 40th at Martinsville. Sign me up. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it, bro. And I think that's where he's coming from. But you said, any news is good, or any press is good press, right? So whatever that phrase is. So, if people are still putting money into the sport, we're still going to have a full grid in the Cup Series on Sundays and Saturday nights in some cases. I'm all for it. I'm not going to speak badly of it. I hope he's successful, and I hope the team, can, get a couple, top 25s out of it. That'd be nice,
I just hope he wasn't overpromised, put it that way.
Yeah,
agree.
Absolutely. The second you show up to the racetrack and you see who they hired to work on the car, that tells you the story right off the bat. Now, I'm not sure, you know what I'm talking about, Bill. When you see what caliber people they hire, that tells you the story before you ever get to the racetrack. So that you win races with people and you don't win it with equipment. So it doesn't matter if you have Hendrick chassis or Gibbs chassis, or, it doesn't matter what you have. It's really who's working on it makes the difference. And that's what it is. You invest in people.
Yeah, certainly. So, but yeah, I mean, the Michael Jordan team, though, they, I think, are taking a different approach. That's way, way more money than Floyd Mayweather can ever dream of. But Denny and Michael got together to start their own team. It's another Gibbs Alliance car. We really haven't seen a Gibbs Alliance car run poorly in the history of that sort of model. So, they put Bubba Wallace in it. He's now kind of back with Gibbs somewhat. He's not a terrible driver. He ran 20th in petty shit, which was who knows how many years old compared to other RCR shit that's however far behind the stuff that's any good anyway. So I think if that team has way more potential for success than I feel the money team does, for exactly the reasons that you just listed, Bob. Like, they got good shit with good people. They're starting off on the right foot. They've got a ton of sponsors already. It's not like they're scraping together like one set of tires to start the race on and you're going to pull off in the first stage. Like, it seems like they're fully legit going for it.
Yeah, it's that pedigree we were talking about a second ago, right? Like, you got two dudes and people pick on Denny, right? But he's won a whole bunch of races. He's a good freaking driver. And Michael Jordan, I'm not going to explain that. Everyone knows what that is already. They have the mentality. I think they know how to align themselves with those people that Bob was talking about that also know what the hell they're doing. They're not going to get Red Bulled out of the sport or anything like that. People that are over promising and can't deliver. I think they know what they're doing. They understand how to. I'm hoping they understand how to get that out of the people that are in the team. And I wish Bubba some success. You know what I mean? Him and Chris Buescher were kind of rivals at one point in the Xfinity Series, and the same type of equipment. And Buescher just got the better of him. I think he's capable of running top 10, top 15 and good equipment if you give him the chance. So, let's see what happens. I'm excited.
Yeah, his average finish was about 21st, but he did have a top 5 in that Richard Petty car, in the Richard Petty stuff, and 5 top 10s. He's not a bad driver at all, and I'm happy that he gets an opportunity. I've known him for a long time, and he's come and supported this DNQ series, raced in it a bunch. And he's just a good person. All politics aside, as a person, he's a very good person. So very happy to see him get an opportunity in that. And I agree. I think it's really good stuff. I think it'll run better than the 95 because they have better funding. And I think the first year might be a little shaky, but heck, in 7 or 8 years, this team may still be around and might be pretty good because I could see them going to 2 to 3 cars pretty quick.
Yeah, certainly. The resources are definitely there. And like you said, like that, even the 95 car, they with Christopher driving took a hot minute to get their act together. But by the end of the year, they were top 15, top 10s, running top 5 here and there. Like, they weren't a bad team. They, for whatever reason, couldn't put together a bunch of good finishes in a row. But, if you take that same group of people now that they've worked together for a year and put them on a team with more funding and just a different driver, like they definitely have potential for success.
Do you
Jay-Z,
think,
what do you got?
do you think, I'm just continuing that topic, just a little, just stretch it out a little bit more here. Do
Yep.
you think the superstar power of Michael Jordan owning that team and the lightning rod that Bubba was last season will be too much of a distraction to focus on race day and get the job done? I mean, we pick on people like maybe some people like Jimmy Johnson or what have you that are very low key, kind of keep a low profile, but maybe that allows them to focus on race day instead of having to do 50,000 interviews and do 50,000 different things. Do you think they'll be able to focus and get down to business year one and have success, which I would call finishing in the top 20 in points for as far as the driver and team goes?
I don't think it'll be that. To start off, it'll be a little tough because it's different.
Yeah.
I think would they win a race? Probably not. Would they? If I had to go off of his stats from last year, I would bet he would probably get anywhere from 5 to 10 top fives this year, and then double or triple his top tens. But it takes time. It takes that relationship with Wheels, who hasn't been a crew chief in a couple of years, to get back on the horse, and then the relationship between everybody else. I mean, you look at Chris Bell had 1 year in that 95, and give them another year or 2 years that may have changed their performance tremendously. You just don't know.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't really have much to talk about because hell, I've been wrapped up in my 700 square feet here in fucking Liberalville. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could talk about the schedules for next year. The NASCAR schedule mixed up a lot, which is great to see. A couple things that kind of stick out. I'm not thrilled with the Busch Clash being on the road course. I think that's stupid. That's not what the Busch Clash is. If you got to run 10 cars out there on the Super Speedway, you fucking do it because that's what the Busch Clash is. Especially when you're going to come back 3 weeks later and run the road course. I mean, that's, I don't know, silly to me. You got your Speedway cars down there anyway. Just do it. I am excited about the Bristol dirt race, not because of the stock cars, but because of the weeks leading up and after that event. You're going to have a ton of good late model shows. You're going to have sprint cars the week after the track's already been run in. The Outlaws are going to prepare the track and do all that. So they know what they're doing. It's going to be a hell of a time. I mean, think about in 2000, 2001, those cars were running 175 at the end of the straightaway at Bristol, a half mile. Think about what 20 years of motor and wing technology have done. Those cars are going to be hauling ass. And I don't know if Strict Daddy's going to run the late models there. I would imagine he would. But if anybody can fucking polish those bad boys up and put them on the dash, it's him. I'm looking for Strickler to win Bristol Dirt in the late models. That's going to be a hell of an event.
What do you think a lap time? Do you think 11 seconds, 12 seconds is possible with the Outlaws there?
100%.
Yeah, easily.
That could be insane.
Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, just think about it. Like a sprint car weighs 1,400 pounds. It makes roughly
900?
the same amount of downforce. Or sorry, the sprint cars make 900 horsepower. They're 1,400 pounds, and they make about as much downforce as a cup car. Let's say it's 1,000 or so, maybe a little bit more. I'm talking like short track package. So they've got a shit ton of downforce. They don't weigh anything, and they got twice the motor. Like, they are going to fucking fly, and it's going to be whoever has the biggest sack that's going to win that thing.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I am very excited about the road courses. I think Circuit of the Americas is a good one. I think they're going to run the full circuit if I heard correctly in the news article. So that'll be good. Circuit. The cup cars. Yeah, originally my gut reaction was, what the fuck? They're going to use up those tires so fast. They're going to be crawling around the track, but that usually puts on a good show. So I'm interested with that. I'm very excited for Road America because those long straight braking zones they have there will make for a ton of good passing. The straights are long, so you're gonna be able to pull up and suck up on people. I do not sleep in that Road America race. If you want to have your buddies over, smoke some meat, drink some beers, that'll be a good one to watch on the TV if you're not going to be there. I think that might be top 3 best race this season. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
I don't
for
see
sure.
how you could. That's a good racetrack. When we first went there, people dumping each other and there was fights, and it's not going to change. That is not going to be any different after that. Jay-Z, what do you got in real racing stuff? Got anything to cover?
No, this podcast isn't really for the Formula One and the sports car stuff. The politics of Formula One the last couple of years have been it's been crazy, right? So if one team cheats, it's considered innovation. If another team cheats, oh no, that's dirty. For example, Mercedes bends the rules, has this dual axis steering where they pull the steering wheel closer to the driver, push it away, and it changes the toe angle on the race car. So those suspension parts actually move, which goes against the regulations. But the FIA is like, you know what? It's a gray area, let it slide. Well, last season, Ferrari has this engine that somehow leaks extra oil or some sort of combustible fluid into the fuel system so they can make 25 more horsepower than everybody else with a car that's still technically shit. It's a gray area. They couldn't catch them. It passed tech every single week, and they tear that thing down, and they had some sort of secret backroom deal because I guess they're racist against Italians. I don't know what it is, but it's just the politics, man, just kill me. It's that's the only thing I got. I'm interested to see what the new cars in 2022 will do. If that's going to shake anything up, or if it's going to be more the same. And Mercedes just has those great Germans doing all their engineering, and the Italians are too busy waving their hands, screaming at each other in Italian in the shop, and they're just not going to make any headway. That's all.
Does that George Wilson, is that his name?
George Russell.
George Russell is him running, like almost winning Bahrain, I think it was. Does that discredit Lewis Hamilton at all?
I don't think so. I think it just goes to show how good that equipment is, right? Everyone knows. I think it shows that Lewis Hamilton maybe isn't godlike. He might be one of the disciples, right? He's up there. He was at the Last Supper table. You know what I mean? But he might not be the one actually performing miracles anymore. So there might be some truth to that. But Valtteri Bottas has been in good equipment. Red Bull's not terrible. Just for the last 6 years, Mercedes, their full package, this really long ass wheelbase car they run has very little rake. Like it's very level to the ground, where some of the other cars have the ass end sticking way up in the air. They somehow have that. What'd you say?
That's how I like it.
Right? It's just a very efficient package the way it works, and they've got it figured out, and everyone else is trying to do their own thing, and it's wrong. You know what I mean? Well, how about this? Force India, or whatever the hell that team's called, Racing Point now, they bought the rights to copy the 2016 Mercedes to run, or the 2017 Mercedes to run this year. And they were instantly 3 places better in the manufacturer's points just by copying what Mercedes was doing. It's a legit copy. All the teams protested and said, hey, what was going on? It was literally like, hey, I'll let you copy my answers. Just change them up a little bit. That's all it was. It was pink. They painted it pink is all it was. It's crazy. So they the aero guys they have at Mercedes, as long as the people that design that suspension package they have, it's good because their engines are good, but the pace they maintain over a full stint on the tires is incredible. So we'll see what the politics play out as next season, and if the racing's any good.
Well, like most things in racing, the more money you throw at it, the better it is, and they're definitely throwing the most money. So good for them.
$330 million in 2019 they spent between the 2 cars, something like that. It was astronomical.
Yeah, that's like one night at the strip club for Tyler Young.
Right.
After a win, absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's how much the after party cost when Teasley won.
Yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else?
No, I'm out of liquor. I gotta go fill up my cup.
All right. Well, want to thank you guys for joining us again. I want to thank all of our partners, SRI Performance, Finish Line Wash Pros, Escape Pool Cleaning, Carroll Tractor and Trailer Repair, Hoosier Racing Tire, and Filthy Mechanic Clothing, along with Karasees Photography. Guys, I'm excited for Miltona. I want to thank you guys for joining us again for another podcast, and we'll do it again once Miltona's over.
Hell yeah, I can't wait for the SRI Pole Award.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Later, dudes.